Hello everyone, this is Thomas Shifrer for ESFI World. I'm here on day one of the WCS North American Regional Finals, and I'm joined by MrBitter and RotterdaM. Guys, how are you doing today?
What's up? We're good. We're happy. We're fun. We're lively.
Couldn't agree more. Feeling good.
Awesome.
Life is beautiful.
You guys have been absent, I guess from the public eye a little bit, casting. So what have you guys been up to lately?
We never went away. We were always here. We wait in the shadows until we're needed, until we're called upon, and then we swoop down from the rooftops and save the day.
I've been still doing quite some StarCraft. I've been streaming a lot on my own, and I've definitely been doing a couple of minor things. So we were at the Hudson Launch event as well. So overall, I think we did quite a few things. Anything that was nearby us, we were there.
Yeah, we're around.
That's great. So, I mean, it's going to be an obvious question. What's happening with NASL? Are they coming back to StarCraft 2? Is anything happening with that, or
NASL? What's NASL?
Ben, be serious.
Is this basically a confirmation that NASL is not coming back to StarCraft 2?
No, of course not. So in NASL, the official response to that question is that the NASL brand continues to exist. The NASL brand is the StarCraft League, and we are very optimistic and hopeful to be bringing more NASL to people in the future. But at the moment, there are other projects that we're focusing our energies on.
And you guys are cool with that, I guess?
Well, we don't make the rules, man.
That's true, but
yeah, I guess so. I'm happy. You happy?
I am partly happy. What I can say is that even though we are working on a couple of new things, is that I will still be working a lot on StarCraft on the side on my own. So I'll still definitely be with NASL or with Hero Level Productions, and I'm also excited to try out something new. But at the end of the day, I'm a StarCraft caster, and I will actually go to the office a little less. Like I used to have an absolute full-time job, just 40 hours a week at least. These days it's going to be a little less, let's say 3 days a week, so I have 2 days a week on my own to either work for other people or stream a lot of StarCraft, become a better player. Something like that.
Something like that.
RotterdaM casting World of Tanks. Are we ever going to see it?
There's a good chance you might see some of it. It could happen. Just trying to follow in the footsteps of our forefathers, Testosis. Trying to live up to that awesomeness.
All right, well, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about WCS. I think you guys have a unique perspective on it, as WCS has kind of cornered the market, I guess you could say, on events and you know, the partners that they've made, that Blizzard has decided to partner with. What do you guys think of the WCS as a whole? Do you think it's good for the scene? Do you think it's bad for the scene? And as a follow-up question to that, do you think that there's anything that you could change if you could?
I think it's needless to say that WCS is good for the scene. There is a lot of unique StarCraft content, and I think eventually it's going to be really good for the scene. Obviously, when you just suddenly bring something in that big, which changes the market completely, a couple of partners are going to be slightly unhappy. A couple of people are not going to have the same amount of StarCraft content as they had before, and obviously we are kind of in that boat. But that doesn't mean that we would say that WCS is bad for StarCraft, not at all. I think overall what Blizzard has in mind is amazing, and I think if it goes on for a little while and everything settles out and it's getting a lot smoother, it's going to be really good. And even right now, like, people were critical, but at the end of the day we've had like a sick amount of StarCraft, perhaps even too much, because one of the reasons why we started WCS is because there was a slight oversaturation. But the way that it got broadcasted so far is that basically for us at 2 a.m. WCS Korea starts, then at 9 a.m. WCS Europe starts, and at 6 p.m. WCS America starts. It's literally impossible to watch everything, which is one of the things which I'm not too happy with, because as a StarCraft guy I literally try to watch everything, or at least the biggest tournaments, and I would never miss a major tournament. But yeah, I can hardly stay awake from 2 a.m. till 9 p.m. every single day. That's kind of impossible, but overall I am quite happy with what we have so far, and we've seen a couple of amazing things already from WCS.
Yeah, WCS is absolutely a really good thing for the scene. When you ask us what we might change, I would like to see more specific regional support for, you know, the local heroes, kind of like we saw in the first season of WCS. But on the whole, I love that Blizzard is getting involved. We said from the beginning that more developer support is how you grow this thing. We've seen that be the case with League of Legends. We've seen that be the case with Dota in some capacity. Excuse me. And we will see that be the case with games like World of Tanks and other new titles that come out. The more the developer gets involved, the more we're able to directly support our player base, and growing the player base and giving back to the players is how you grow esports. So I do think WCS is a fantastic thing. I want to say that WCS has not necessarily muscled NASL out of the space. Blizzard never said, hey, you guys can't stream during these times. They were always very open with us and things like that. It was just more of a matter of, if there is 24 hours of WCS a day, do we want to be broadcasting in that same space? It was a choice we made, not one that Blizzard forced on us.
Perfect. You talked a little bit about regional support. Like, what kind of ideas do you have in mind? I mean, if you look at more professional sports, you know, some things like tennis, players just get seeded regardless. You're playing sometimes against the best players in the, you know, in the sport, and you could be like 64 seed. So, like, regional support, what do you think Blizzard could do to kind of protect the hometown heroes? I mean, if you could go for an example at this event, we have an all-Korean so far semifinal.
Well, I mean, there's a real need, in my opinion, for things like the shoutcrafts that we've seen. I don't know if John and Jenna are going to do more shoutcrafts. I sure as hell hope they do. But that's the kind of stuff that I would like to see companies like Blizzard getting directly involved in, saying, hey, this is an organization that is trying to build up our North American player base. Let's support them, rather than saying, let's host a continental thing. And maybe I'm being a little bit too vague, or, you know, casting too big of a shadow, but I do think that when you see opportunities to really focus on one group of people and do something just for them, that it motivates that group of people to be better. You saw a lot of really impressive ladder activity amongst North American players in preparation for Shoutcraft, and it was a good thing for the scene. A lot of that exists in Europe already. Of course, we know that a lot of that exists in Korea already, so I would like to see more of it in North America.
All right, so yeah, let's just change gears and put it right on topic. Who's your picks for the favorites going into the final day?
Hero was my favorite before the tournament started, and so far I think he looked really good in his games against Alicia. I don't think Alicia necessarily played bad. Hero just played a tiny bit better, and in PvP that's already like a really big difference, because both players working with the same units, obviously, and if one guy always has a little more, is one step ahead, he's going to have an easier time making the right decisions. So indeed those games were kind of one-sided. Unfortunately, the other series that Ben and me casted between Crank and Alive was really quite one-sided. The first two games were very short. Crank is a really good player, but Alive just played on a better level today, like as simple as it is. So I think potentially if you would have a Hero against Alive final, that should be really good. But Ryong is still alive as well. Ryong is extremely good in TVT, but also in TVP from what I've heard in HOTS. So today might have not been the most amazing day yet, but we're not done yet. We still got Snoot against here. Snoot against Crank coming up, and I actually think that's going to be a very evenly matched best of 5. So hopefully it's going to be sick. And Moonglade against the Terran he played in the start of the day. Not that he's playing right now.
He's playing against Alicia right now.
He's playing against Alicia right now. Those
Yeah.
games are looking close, but certainly the first series of the day he played against Ryong. Despite losing 0-3, I do feel that those games were really fun to watch as well. So unfortunately the games that Ben and me had were a little one-sided, but I think overall the games are good, but it will just get better from here.
Yeah, pretty much completely agree. I think Hero was the easy favorite coming into this thing, since he hadn't dropped a single map prior to today. I was really hoping for a Hero versus Snoot final. I think that would have been a best case for everybody, because it's exciting. It's a Korean versus a foreign player. It's a beloved Korean versus a very successful European. But unfortunately, ZVZ is, you know, it's a tough matchup. I don't think Snoot got outplayed. I just think he got out-thought. He got out-thunk, as we say back home in the South.
Out-roached, maybe.
Out-linked, actually.
Yeah, in the last game, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, well, I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you guys are busy casters, but one more question and then some shout-outs maybe. As casters and players, what do you guys think about the balance in the game right now?
I think it's phenomenal. For me personally, I find certain things to be really hard, but that's because I'm terrible. I think if you go up to the highest level, you have a very well-balanced game. I was actually looking at the win rates from last month. It's like 50.2% to 50.4% to 50.3%. It's like so ridiculous. You might say that at the very, very, very highest level, like if we look at Code S results, that Protoss players are struggling. But then if you look at Pro League, it's a completely different animal. So I think the game is in a great place. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's a lot of fun to cast. A lot of fun to play. I love StarCraft 2 right now.
I feel the same way as Ben. I stream quite a lot of my own play myself, and I often complain, but the only thing I complain about is myself, because I know I'm just simply not good enough. So it's really hard for me to give a proper reaction. I do still think that, like, what I don't really like about Protoss right now is that it's really hard to deal with Mutalisk in a certain way. It's almost like if you scout it in time and you get enough Phoenixes, you completely shut it down. If not, it seems like an almost impossible hurdle to overcome. That's something I personally don't really like, but I still don't think we've seen everything out of that. And one thing as a neutral spectator, so not as a player or as a caster, is that a lot of the TVCs either seem to be extremely long, exciting games, or it's a very all-in-ish play. And certainly often I see Zerg falling back to all-in plays against Terran. Might have just been a couple of the Zergs that has been in the spotlight just who love to play this Roach Bane, that kind of stuff all-in. But I would love to see, you know, that metagame shift a little bit to perhaps more mid-game timings rather than these early 2-base all-ins or anything like these low economy all-ins. But other than that, I think the game is in a really good place and it's exciting. And I do think we're going to see a couple of changes. I'm not sure about this War Prism change. I got my mixed feelings about that. But I think overall the game is in a good place and it's fun. It's exciting to watch. And yeah, we've seen a lot of good StarCraft, more than we've seen in the last few months of Wings of Liberty. So it's a good thing.
All right, perfect. That's all I have for you guys today. Any shout-outs, thank yous?
Thanks to ESFI World for doing phenomenal interviews, asking the hard-hitting questions, not being afraid to pull punches, and giving us unbiased esports journalism.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for this interview, and of course, thanks to MLG for bringing us out over here, and of course, thanks for all the support over the last few months. It hasn't been the easiest months for us, but the fans have been really nice to us. So thank you guys at home for all the kind words.